Hi again, Raylene here from the Laughter Crafter channel. Really good to have you with me again. Well, you may remember last week we did part one of our project, which was a small mirror which goes into a frame, and on the mirror I used my Dremel and a diamond bit and did some engraving. I'd never done it before, but it turned out quite good. So the second part of the project is what we're doing today, and it's the wooden frame that goes around the mirror. So what I did to this frame is I put on some wallpaper, and if you have a look in the background in my room, you'll see that it's the exact same wallpaper that I papered my walls with in my lounge room. And I also added on some gold leaf with gold size, which I know I've done before on other projects, but I think it makes it pop and it looks really nice. What do you think? Very easy to do, very inexpensive, just used leftover wallpaper and about a half a teaspoon of wallpaper paste. Goes a long way. Very, very simple to do and fun. So here's the joke that goes with this week's project as well. So I went into my wardrobe and I found a lion in there, and I said to the lion, "What on earth are you doing in my wardrobe?" And he said, "None of your business." Narnia, get it? Yeah, I know. You didn't want it, did you? Okay, doesn't matter. Let's get on with the project. Well, here are the things I'm going to need to do my little frame that is going to frame this engraved mirror from last week. So I've decided that I'm going to put some wallpaper onto this frame, and I'm also going to use some gold leaf with gold size, but that will be done after the wallpaper is added on. So that's the gold size and the gold leaf, and a brush that I will use specifically for that. It's an old brush. I can't really salvage a brush after I've used it with gold size. It kind of just is like liquid chewing gum, that stuff. So I always use an old brush that I don't mind sort of throwing away at the end. So I've also got, of course, some wallpaper paste and some water, and I'm just going to need such a small amount to put this wallpaper on here. I'm going to need a pen and scissors to mark out the exact shape. Once the wallpaper's on, then I'm going to use the brayer to get out any lumps. Hopefully there won't be lumps of glue, but there might be air bubbles. So I'm going to make sure that I get rid of them with that brayer. And I think that's just about everything. So let's make a start. I'm going to use a craft knife as well, just to tidy up the edges of the wallpaper on the wooden frame. So that's an extra thing that I'm going to use. One more thing I'm going to need is a simple brush, just to brush the wallpaper paste onto the circle of wallpaper once I've cut it out. And so just add that to your list of bits and pieces. So I've placed this frame onto the back of the wallpaper. Now I'm just going to mark the circle with a pen, then cut it out with the scissors, and same on the inside. And it's just a couple of mils larger than the actual frame. That's fine. I'll come back and trim with my special very sharp knife later on once the wallpaper paste is dry. Okay, so you saw me mix up this small amount of wallpaper paste. I used around about 2 teaspoons of the paste, and I just dribbled in little bits of water. This was half a cup, and I've only used, honestly, just slightly more water than paste. And you can see the consistency that I have there, which is just about right. So I'm going to go ahead and use that little brush. Oopsie. And brush this on the surface, and I'm going to keep an eye out for any lumps and try and get rid of those. I do have the brayer that I'll be using to go over. This is not a big amount of wallpaper paste, but it is well and truly more than enough for this small project. I'll have some left over. It's water-based, so it will easily brush out of the brush. Wash out of the brush. And I can reuse this brush for many things, but the brush that I'm going to use for that gold size, as I mentioned before, that gold size is notorious for ruining brushes. So, you know, some people use a little foam applicator instead of ruining a brush, but I have plenty of brushes that have really well come to the end of their usefulness and their life because I've just used them to death. And so I keep those aside for doing things like applying gold size, and that will be kind of their last hurrah of usefulness. So that's wallpaper paste put on. I've only used not even half of what I made up. So now I'm just going to sit that on there, slide it, and get my little brayer. Which is a rubber roller. I don't want to get any wallpaper paste on the brayer, but it is just smoothing the surface beautifully. And then I'll just leave this to dry. It's wobbly because there's sort of little hooks underneath at the back of this frame when the little closey bit goes. That's why it looks a bit wobbly, but that's okay. I'm coping quite fine. I don't see any lumps and bumps in that. That looks like it's going to dry really beautifully. So I'll just leave it now to dry. So here's the little frame with the wallpaper all finished. So I'm going to take my, starting again. So here's the lovely little wooden frame with the wallpaper all dried on there. So I'm going to take my sharp knife and cut off the excess. So it's all trimmed up now. So I've got my gold size here and my disposable brush. I put down some parchment paper just to keep my work surface clean, and I'm just going to brush on a coat of gold size all the way around this inner surface, being careful not to go over onto the wallpaper. This is MDF, this frame. It's a manufactured wood, so it's quite absorbent. Really fun to work with though. I use a lot of it when I do woodwork. Great for easy to carve actually. I've got a plate display cabinet in my little dining room that I made, and when I use the jigsaw to do the scroll work on the plate display cabinet, which was made of MDF, it just carved like butter. It was just beautiful. So just giving a good coat. This gold size only takes really a few minutes to get tacky, and when it's tacky, that's when you apply the gold leaf or silver leaf or copper leaf, whatever kind of metal leaf you have. I'm going to be using gold for this. I think I have silver, so I don't know. I might change my mind. Anyway, I've got a few minutes while this is getting tacky to decide which one I'll use. So I'm doing this inner circle, then I'm going to carefully do the outer circle. So I've come back to the beginning there. Okay, so I'm going to do this outer circle now, so I will just continue to do this and speed up the film. So I put gloves on. I forgot to put gloves, these rubber gloves, in the list of materials, but if you've seen me do gold leaf before, you'll know that I always wear gloves when I'm touching the leaf, because otherwise it sort of oxidizes with the oils on your skin. So I've just applied some gold leaf on the inside. It was getting tacky. Now I'm going to do the same around the edge. It's very, very delicate. So it just sort of tears off like that, and you apply the next bit on, tear it off. You may have noticed when I was putting on the gold leaf that I did some dots on the top surface of the wallpaper as well, but that's quite a bit thicker, so that's why I'm going to let that dry more before I put the gold leaf on top of those little drops of gold size. There's a bit that I missed right. Did I? No, I didn't. So I really only applied this gold size about, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, and it's already tacky. So a couple of bits I've missed there, so it just sort of, it's so super fly away. If you're not careful, you just rip it and miss bits. So what I would do if it was all dry and I realised I'd missed a couple of bits is I'd just carefully dab on a little bit more size and do it later. It's not a problem. So I'll just stop now and get another little piece of gold leaf and do the rest of it. So all this gold leaf is dry now, and I've got a nice dry foam brush, and I just come along and rub it over the gold leaf, and it will just fly away from everywhere that it wasn't stuck down. So there you go, it's all coming off. And I don't have carpet in my craft room, which is a good thing because this stuff just is everywhere. There we go. Just finished off those edges nicely. And it's going to take that little engraved mirror very nicely. And that will be the project finished, part A and part B. So there we go. Wallpaper attached to the wooden circular frame, and then gold leaf put on the edges and some on the surface as well. That's the little backing piece that goes there, and the mirror sits inside, and shortly I'll show you the finished product. So there we go for this week. Parts 1 and 2 of this little project, the engraved mirror and the wallpapered frame. Very easy to do, very effective, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So I hope that you will tackle something like this as well. If you don't have a Dremel, you might want to think about investing in one. They don't cost a lot of money, and I use my Dremel all the time. And save your leftover bits of wallpaper, or get friends who are doing their wallpapering, get them to save you their scraps and use it for your craft. Make it go, recycle it, repurpose stuff. That's what I love to do as well. Okay, so until we meet again next time, I hope you have a lot of fun laughing and a lot of fun crafting. Bye for now.